Now, I don't know about you, but when I think about Vikings, I think of big blokes with beards wearing helmets with horns, going on to do a bit of plundering and pillaging around Europe. But not so in the northwest, where many lived many years ago peacefully as fishermen and farmers. Well, JC Norman's been to meet a group of people who are determined to dispel all the myths about our Norse ancestors.
Now, it's fair to say the Vikings did have a reputation for violence and antisocial behaviour. And it's true they pillaged and plundered their way across Saxon England during the 10th century.
But that's not the whole story. Here on the Wirral, there's evidence that the Vikings settled and lived largely peacefully alongside their Saxon neighbours. And if you look around the place, there are still visible reminders they were once here. In fact, there still might be.
The Viking invaders landed on the Wirral in 902 AD, settling in the area we now know as Merseyside. Many of the place names on the Wirral are Viking.
Follow me.
But there are other reminders of the area's Viking past. The Wirral-based Viking reenactment group, Wirral Skip for Lag, recreates Viking life, putting on shows and demonstrations like this one for a party of school children visiting Croxteth Park. The group are keen to demonstrate the Vikings weren't just warriors.
They were as intelligent as you are today. And learning what the Vikings did and how they did it, we are surprised all the time how clever they are. They just don't have your technology. 2 hands on it, please, madam. The reason I've given you that, the ladies would know how to use that one. It would be sharp all the way down that edge, and you would have one on each farm.
He has huge metal talons, and Grendel hates men.
For Sonny Ray and his wife Linda, it's become a way of life. They've even adopted Viking names, Sonji and Linden. They're one of a growing number of people who are joining historical reenactment groups all over the country.
And they laugh and they sing and they dance.
There are lots of myths on Vikings, that they raided and pillaged and then vanished. No, they didn't. In this area, they came in and they settled. Merseyside, the Wirral, is an area where the Vikings came from Norway and they settled in very quickly. We're in Croxteth, which is Croc's landing place. Croc came up the Alt, Toxteth. Even the people from this area have a Viking name. They're known as Scousers, and Scouse is a brown stew.
To find out more about the Wirral's Viking past, I've travelled to Hoylake to meet Viking expert Professor Stephen Harding.
So where do you think the Vikings would have come ashore?
Well, we believe they probably would have come along this area here between Mells, about a mile down the coastline in this direction, and West Kirby along the coastline here.
So does that mean that there are people in the Wirral whose ancestors were Vikings?
We think so. A recent survey of old Wirral families, the men from these families, for the Y chromosomal DNA, suggests that nearly half have their strongest matches with Scandinavians. It does suggest that there may be significant Viking input into the modern population.
So Hilda and Linden, why do people join historical reenactment groups? What is it about the Vikings?
The Viking women are terrifically interesting. So many times in history, women come across as owned or manipulated and very powerless. Viking women were very strong, cunning, brave women, quite formidable. They would very often start the battles that the men had to then take through to completion.
And what sort of people are in the group? Because they come from all over, don't they?
We don't really talk about the real world that much, but we've got astrophysicists,
Astrophysicists?
chemical engineers, lawyers, solicitors, doctors, you name it. JPs, everybody, absolutely everybody.
That's crazy. Do you reckon they tell their colleagues at work what they're doing at the weekend?
Probably not.
Do you want to have a go at grinding some herbs?
Yeah.
Why not? Because this is what an apprentice would have been doing.
Is that what I am, an apprentice today?
Yes. I've got the fresh herbs. They go in your mortar and pestle.
Okay.
And you need to reduce them to a very fine powder so that I can use them as medicine.
How long do you think this is going to take me?
A good half hour, at least.
Half an hour of...
Yep. Keep at it. Have lunch.
Half an hour of grinding herbs mean dull. It looks like the boys are having far more fun over there. Can I play?
But of course. Would you like to pick up the axe, my dear?
I think I would. You're scared, aren't you? You should be. Brace! Brace!
If you really want to do that, you should see all the warriors when they're fighting, different techniques and everything, but you'd have to change.
You can't go dressed like that.
Why not?
You're showing your lower limbs. That's a divorceable offence. You haven't got your hair covered. We'll have to measure you, get you an outfit, get your hair nicely covered.
No way.
Oh, the earrings, the watch, it's all going.
No.
It's the day of the Viking show and the crowds have gathered at the Boat Museum in Ellesmere Port for some authentic Viking reenacting.
Why haven't you been working?
Well, I have, and I've done a bit. But what I wanted to know was, when do we actually get to go out onto the battlefield? I'm not a very good cook.
Well, I've got bad news for you. Women don't fight.
No fighting?
No fighting.
But that's a bit sexist.
I didn't say you couldn't hit a man.
How, if I can't get onto the field?
There are ways and means, my dear. When a man annoys you, or if you wish to clear the battlefield, you have this, the ultimate weapon.
A big spoon?
It's a ladle. Any man will run if he sees you running towards him with one of those.
Suddenly I'm getting a bit more into this Viking business. I've got this ladle, and I'm not afraid to use it! You'll get back with this!
It's time for the Viking boat burning. The crowds have gathered and the group stages a dramatic reenactment of a Viking burial. It's been an amazing experience, but it's time for me to return to the 21st century and say farewell to the Wirral Vikings.
Well, that's it for this very special edition of Inside Out. We're back on dry land next Monday at 7:30. See you then. Bye-bye. Next week on Inside Out Northwest, an exclusive interview with Sir Bobby Charlton about his life and career.
I love this game, and it's my whole life.